All right, folks, you are listening to Yishai and Friends on Israel National Radio. Welcome to the program, and I am here joined in my studios by a very interesting group of people, led by a very interesting individual person who I've had the pleasure of spending some time today showing him around the Jewish people's return to Eastern Jerusalem, showing him the prophecy coming true in Bethel, which we talk about a lot, and of the Jewish people coming home. And he's got a lot to tell me. Not a lot of people have got something to tell me. I mean, I know a lot of you want to tell me something, but not a lot of people can tell me about stuff that I don't know about Israel. But this man can, and that's because he's been in this game caring about Israel for 30 years, it seems to me. And his name is Reverend John Tweedie. He's the pastor of the New Covenant Christian Fellowship in Brantford, Ontario. So that makes him a person that is a pastor, leads a lot of people. But he's also the chairman of Christians for Israel Canada, which is a big organization. But he's even the chairman of Christians for Israel International, based out of Holland, which is a lot more people. And if I look at his card, I see something really amazing. Says Reverend John Tweedie's card, "Our ministry is to declare God's redemptive purposes for Israel and the church, and to urge support of Israel through prayer and action according to the will and word of God." Well, certainly, I have my fair share of questions for you, Reverend Tweedie, and I'm really happy that you're here in our studios today.
Well, I'm really pleased to be here and to be in Bethel, where Jacob encountered the Almighty God, is even more significant. And having come to Israel for 30 years, to actually be here in this holy biblical place is a thrill. And to be with you is exciting, speaking to the audience.
I appreciate it, and it is fun to have you here. And before I even go on, I want to ask you kind of a simple question. You know, Christianity, Canada, the world, they've got their own problems. You know, everybody's got their own issues. Everybody's got their own life to live. And you think to yourself, why are these people involved in my problems? I mean, my problems are messy. I got geopolitical problems. I got America breathing down my throat to try to give away half my land. I got a lot of Arab states. I got now South American states involved trying to tell me that my land is not mine. Why would you want to get involved in this, in rockets and in warfare and in defense? Why would you want to even get yourself sullied in all this?
Well, when it seems like Israel has few friends in the world, then I think the message of why I'm here and people like me, evangelical Christians, come to Israel is the Almighty's way of reminding you that you're not entirely alone. You do have friends, friends who believe that you have a right to be in the biblical homeland, that God gave the nation of Israel this land by covenant promises. And the Almighty God is the keeper of the covenant. And even in times past when Israel has violated or broken the covenants God made with her, God keeps his side of the covenant. And I would say simply that God has called, raised up people like me from among the nations to remind Israel that she's not alone. And as long as she looks in the direction of God, the Almighty God, she can stand strong. Because God has made promises that he is keeping and fully intends to keep, regardless of what the nations think they can decide about Israel's future.
You end up talking to a lot of important political people here in Israel, former generals, and sometimes you end up giving them political or military advice. You tell them, no, don't give away your land, and they kind of get surprised by your outlook. They say, there's an expression in Hebrew, they say, don't be more Catholic than the Pope, right? You're more Jewish than the Jews oftentimes. Is that right? I
certainly have, I think, a Jewish heart, and I have a heart for the Jewish people and for the land of Israel. And my roots are here in terms of my Christian beliefs as well. And the thing that I think the generals or the military people or other politicians that you refer to, they would use the argument, thousands of years have passed. We're no longer living in Old Testament or Tanakh times, and the modern reality requires different solutions. But the solution for Israel is and always has been stand strong beside God. And the best illustration of that is David, a shepherd boy, who militarily didn't have much to offer against a Philistine giant, but who came with the words, you come against me with armor and might. I come against you in the name of the God of Israel. And that I said that to a general recently. I said to him, I think of the scenario of David and Goliath, where weakness, in a sense, militarily, and a shepherd boy, but standing in the name of the Almighty God, was able to defeat an entire army. And so that's it. And I think the expediency of these times, the pressure of the nations on Israel to trade land for peace, which anyone looking seriously can say doesn't work. Israel pulled out of Gaza in August 2005, a unilateral move to impress the nations that Israel really wanted peace. But peace didn't come, and in fact, sometime after that, at the end of 2008, early 2009, Israel had to go back into Gaza to stop, or at least limit, Qassam rocket mortar attacks on the Israeli communities on the other side of the Gaza fence. So it all sounds well and good that we need to make adjustments for the times we live in. If they worked, that would be one thing, but they haven't worked. Trading land for peace for Israel has been a disaster.
Now, you mentioned Goliath. There was something very good about Goliath, and that was that he was an overt enemy. You know, he just stood there saying, your God is zero, you guys are losers, I spit in your face, I stand out here waiting for somebody to challenge me, but you can't do it, and you're nothing. And in a sense, everybody could understand what position Goliath held. One of the challenges that Israel has today is that many of her enemies are stealthy and sneaky. And they don't come out saying, hey, I hate you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to destroy you. What are you going to do about it? Hamas does that, Iran does that, but many other people don't do that. Fatah doesn't do that. And just the general trend out the United Nations, it says, well, you know, we're in favor of Israel, but small Israel. And they seem to be decent towards us, but really they have a very undecent program. And what I mean to say is that Jewish people are oftentimes tricked by people who are trying to be tricky. Now, another challenge to us sometimes is the mission, being proselytized. People come to us with love, but really they have a secondary mission underneath it all. And you've taken a very strong stand against that. And I want you to explain that. And I want you to in a sense, how do you answer the fears of some critics of the relationship between Jews and Christian Zionists?
Let me respond to your first statement, first of all, about the stealth of your enemies. The one thing that it seems to me that they have learned is that Israel is strongest when Israel is united. And just coming here and listening to various opinions, speaking to a couple of senior military people who would even suggest that we need to give away the Golan Heights to achieve peace with Syria in order to have peace with other Middle Eastern neighbors. So Israel is not united in thought in terms of how you reach a peaceful settlement, how you live in peace with your neighbors. So that's the first thing. And I would just say that as an observer, strength comes from unity of purpose and direction and strong motivation. That's the first thing. It is a distinctive of our particular ministry, which was established 30 years ago in Holland, in the aftermath of, if you like, World War II and the Holocaust, that we do not proselytize Jewish people. For 2,000 years, the church was holding up the cross, and even the Nazis supposedly claimed to be doing this in the name of a Christian God. We know, of course, they were primarily pagans, but still, that was the image of that in Christian Europe. How could the Holocaust happen? 70 years ago, how could 6 million Jewish men, women, and children be exterminated in what was supposed to be Christian Europe? So for 2,000 years, the church held up the cross in the face of the Jewish people. And we see that, that's not what we should be doing. We don't have a hidden agenda. And in fact, for 3 years, I was on a Jewish radio program in Toronto. And every Sunday morning before my church service, I would give live commentary in response to questions that I was asked. And often, and then I would go into the studio and there'd be a phone-in show, and Jewish people would actually ask me, as you have done, direct questions. And I used to bring the hidden agenda question out before they could even ask it, to say to them, I don't have a hidden agenda. What you read on the back of my business card is our open agenda, and that is we believe that God has redemptive purposes for the church and for Israel. That's his eternal plan. That will play out according to his will and his word in the Holy Scriptures. So that's the first thing. So we believe we're to love the people of Israel, because as far as we're concerned, the church for too long has not loved Israel as a brother, as they should have done. And then love is fine if it's just spoken word, but it needs to be lived out practically. And so we speak about helping the Jews home, where they rightfully belong, and then helping them once they get home. Because we have helped to date approximately 100,000 Jews from the former Soviet Union states make Aliyah, move to Israel.
How does that happen? You know, I've been working in Aliyah for 10, 12 years now, and very much care about seeing the return of the Jewish people home. How do you practically, help a Jew get home? How do you motivate him to get home, and how do you make it happen?
Well, we're working, Christians for Israel International is in fact working with Ebenezer International, another Christian organization, which is very active in the former Soviet Union, and they have staff on the ground. We have staff on the ground in the Ukraine, for example, but rather than overlap our staff and our ministries, we work together. So in some cases, we have people going out speaking in these former Soviet satellite states, Christians speaking to Jews and saying, your rightful home is not here. You belong in Israel, and from our point of view, your future here is not bright, whereas in Israel you be secure and you have a brighter future. So we go and tell them.
And that's a kind of biblical prophecy itself, telling the Jewish people the news that there's Jerusalem.
Isaiah 49, verse 22, God says, I will summon the nations, the Gentiles. They shall carry your sons in their arms and your daughters on their shoulders. I've actually been on a bus that we sponsored in Vinnytsia in the Ukraine, picking up Jewish people early in the morning, watching the tears of separation where grandmas were saying goodbye to sons, daughters, or saying goodbye, maybe for the last time. Maybe they would see each other again, but as far as they were concerned, this could be the long goodbye. And then taking those young Jews to Kiev airport and putting them on the plane. And what we have done as a ministry is we worked in conjunction with the Jewish agency, who must provide the papers of the transfer to Israel. Sometimes we're simply driving people to the Israeli embassy in a distant city in order to make the application process, food parcels, all manner of things. So, in fact, helping them in their impoverishment in the former Soviet Union, but also helping them get home. Ethiopian Jews. Our Dutch branch some years ago sponsored a plane load of Ethiopian Jews, and we did it in conjunction with Karen Hayasad. So we're functioning in all levels. But also, our publications are designed to educate the church, the Gentile world, and fight anti-Semitism. So we're working on many different levels.